Carl, where are you? Carl, we're starting the show. Where are you, Carl? Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back, Bear Down. We got a good show in store for you. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of excitement happening. I'm going to leave Carl right on board there. I was actually a little late because I was talking to an insurance client. With that plug, hey, if you want to look at your insurance needs, go ahead and give me a call. Email me, whatever. Hey, Carl, what's up?
What's a phone number?
702-901-3030. That might be the best publicity little clip we've put in there for this thing. We got it out of the way.
Do we support insurance fraud? I would love to commit fraud. Oh, okay.
We don't support insurance fraud.
That sucks.
We support the Bears fraudulently manipulating the cap to get the best players on the Bears, but we don't support insurance fraud.
Amen.
What's up, Squeegee? What's up, M-verse1? What's up, Trapakeepa? Hey, Trapakeepa, man. What's up, buddy? We got Sael376, Just Chuck 1. All right, baby. We got so much to go over today, Carl. And you know what? I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pumping. I'm neglecting my children. I hope all you guys feel good out there that I'm neglecting my kids. I'm putting this channel before my children. They're sitting in corners, not being fed. Okay, that's not true. Don't call CPS on me. Like, I love my kids. I'm a good dad. Nobody call CPS on me. But we're pumping stuff out right now. How's my camera? I feel like it's a little off.
How is my audio? Do I sound okay? Do I sound bad? Anything?
You sound good. I think everything's good. We're good in the hood.
Okay. I do have my audio filtering system on, and I'm hopeful because I normally don't use it. So if it causes any issues, chat, call me out, say Carl's too loud, any of this. Trapakeepa, that is a legendary comment from Trapakeepa.
Squeegee, I don't do any health insurance. I don't do any Medicare because a couple of years ago, about a decade ago, there's a certain president that ruined our healthcare system and made it so insurance agents get paid zero. Anyways, so OBAMA care absolutely slaughtered health insurance, and I backed out of it. I only do primarily, home, auto, business, life, stuff like that. But
could I take over the show for a second and do a little housekeeping?
Whoa,
Whoa. Wow, I didn't mean like that, but okay. Couple noteworthy announcements for your 2023 national champion Michigan Wolverines. The Baltimore Ravens have hired none other than Jesse Minter to be their head coach. So congratulations to him.
He's white, so there's no Rooney Rule there.
Oh, wow. Unbelievable. Yeah, that actually
is what it is.
We're going to stepping stone and use that as a segue after we talk about this next bit of housekeeping, which is it's a big football game on. Not sure if you guys are aware. It's NFC West showdown. And the winner of that game will have another 2023 national championship going to the Super Bowl. Mr. A.J. Barner will be facing Mr. Blake Corum. Again, sure wish it was Colston Loveland going against his former college teammate and tight end mate. But we'll get into that, I'm sure. And then final piece of housekeeping, again, with Adam's little segue there. Where did that go? Whatever version of Adam we're getting today, huh?
Oh, did you screenshot?
Bill Zimmerman.
Screenshot me attacking the Bears media. Did you do that, Carl?
Bill Zimmerman. Talk about spreading false information. I want to give Adam Mason his flowers. I despise when these jokesters masquerade as a source of truth. Oh, Ian Cunningham not going to get picks, this, that, and the other. Bill Zimmerman, screw you, man.
You know what, Carl? Carl and I didn't talk before the show because I got stuck on an insurance call. And he was waiting for me, and then, I came on. And he was grabbing a drink of water or whatever he was doing, and so I didn't have any intention of talking Rooney Rule. But you know what? We were going to talk mailbag. We were going to talk major topics. So I think this fits right in there, Carl. So let me see if I can pull up real quick 2 little snippets that would help people understand. And I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes people are wrong. Sometimes people are right. But
you
go by the letter of the law here.
Is Dead Code in chat referring to Pat Finley? Isn't Pat Finley just a radio guy?
Pat Finley. I hate 670 the score spread. I'm learning 670 the score spread most of this, but it's because they had somebody on their show. Let me see who they have in their show. Hold on. I had it right here.
So when you're talking 670 the score versus ESPN 1000, if you give an inch to 670, they're going to take a mile. And unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast, right? Like, you guys need to be very aware of who your sources of truths are. Anything that you see, please, like, check yourselves. And I wanted to give Adam his flowers, right? Because Adam Mason doesn't masquerade as a source of truth. But what he does is he finds the information and shares it with you guys. So again, I love that tweet when you go, anyone who would have actually read this, like, yeah, you're spot on.
Okay, so I can't find it. I'm not going to sit here. I can't find the person. So there was a national ESPN guy that was on Pat Finley's show, and they had him on there, and he shared that because this verbiage, this is where it's getting everyone held up. Okay, so I'm gonna read directly from JC2A, which is the 2020 resolution in the collective bargaining and in the NFL. Sorry, not collective bargaining, in the NFL club amendment in the Rooney Rule for the compensation pick. It says the minority employee, coach, or executive who was developed by the original team must leave that team and be hired by a different team, i.e., another NFL club. Okay, that's clear. We knew it couldn't be within your own hire. That's fine. Their new role with that different team must be either 1, head coach, or 2, primary football executive, which the policy explicitly equates to general manager or GM. That verbiage is what's getting these guys all hung up and making them go, well, he's not the primary football executive. Well, the fact remains, they explicitly say GM in there, in parentheses, in the resolution text. So as the other thing that I pointed out, where is it? All right, so then I looked for further clarification. Blah, blah, blah.
So while you're doing that, and I hope I don't step on your toes when I say this,
you are.
Why would Ian Cunningham take a lateral move away from a familiar situation with I would call it a friend at this point, right? Ian Cunningham and Ryan Poles are friends. Why would he take a lateral move, right? If he was to sit down with Arthur, right? If he was to sit down with Arthur Blank and Matt Ryan and them would say, yeah, I am the one calling the shots, Ian. You're just here to help me. Why would he do that?
Yeah, so I'm learning more and more about this today, and I saw this. Pat Finley has a tweet that he claimed an NFL insider. So I explicitly Carl's loving this version of Adam because I'm kind of more like Carl when these things happen. I said, okay, who's the insider? Who's the source that's saying this? Who's actually claiming this? Because there's nothing in the bylaws. There's nothing in the NFL charter. There's nothing in JC2A that states that it has to be what they're saying, but they've ran with it as because a primary executive / GM. Well, is it one? Is it the other? Is it both? And then it clarifies later on the official website. It clarifies primary football executive, which the policy explicitly equates to general manager or GM. In parentheses, in the resolution text, primary football executive is general manager. So even if Matt Ryan is making the calls, he's still got the title of GM. So yes, sticky situation is the correct way to say this. It is sticky, especially when you have people that don't have the answer running with things that aren't in the actual charter, that aren't in, JC2A of the Rooney Rule explanation on the NFL website. When you have that and they're making their own assumptions saying, well, he's not the primary football executive, so that means it doesn't count. Well, it doesn't say it doesn't count. It says GM, and it further clarifies on the website, GM is the position. Head coach, GM. Those are the two positions it specifically clarifies on the website as saying they receive compensation for the Rooney Rule. So,
and why in God's name would the Atlanta Falcons care if the Bears do or do not get a compensatory pick?
The Falcons
that doesn't come out of the Falcons' back pocket here.
Well, no, I don't know where you're saying the Falcons care. The Falcons don't care. It's all these other people with talking heads talking about it that care. The Falcons don't care. I mean, what do they care? They get the guy they want. The result of that is the player who had the minority.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like you could say, Matt Ryan is calling the shots in our management, our player personnel department. Ian's just here to help. Why would they do something so slimy like that to try and screw over the Bears? They don't care. So again, it's just asinine in my opinion.
Okay,
so then the moral of the story, Adam, I love how you do not masquerade as someone who pretends to know or be a source of the truth. You just figure it out and you share it with the audience.
So this is what I get scrutinized on.
There you
Twitter
go, Tony.
because I went to Chat GPT, I went to Grok to say, give me guidance on where to find it. So then when you find guidance on where to find it, you highlight it, and then I shared that. Then you actually have to go look at the NFL website. But then I shared this. Let's remove this. It's small. It's hard to see. I know, and that's why I didn't want to share this one originally. But when you look at that really tiny, and if you get right in there and look, yes, NFL's football. I actually have to pull it up, so I can't read it there either. I'm going to pull it up on just a file so I can see it and read it.
Is there any way that you could share that with me in the private chat? By the way, there is something in the private chat that I would love for you to read. But if you share it with me, I can get that split up so we could put it on the screen and have it be a little bit more friendly.
Well, I could.
Or is that a GPT output?
It's an output. Anyways, it says
okay.
The highlighted part says the NFL's football operations site summarizes it more plainly. Teams get the picks, and this is what it summarizes. Teams get the picks when they lose a minority executive or coach to another team where the person becomes, and it doesn't mince words here, a GM or head coach. And that's from the website. So that's where I got guidance from. And so I posted that, and I get scrutinized for posting that. Is that just Grok GPT? Are you just looking at AI? I'm like, yeah, well, it gave me guidance on where to go, and then you go look at it. But anyways, I'm going to remove this now because I'll just get more scrutiny from it.
Yeah, again, AI is not the source of truth. You're using it to figure out the actual source of information, which in my opinion you did.
So,
and again, for you to flex your credentials, right? Oh, I'm Bill Zimmerman. I have this deep inside hook into the National Football League. I have an inside source. Go screw yourself, Bill.
Carl, you need to tone it down just a little bit. Try to get along with everybody, Carl.
Nope.
So I'm not going to get you. So someone just said, so do we get the pick or not? I'm not going to definitively tell you we're going to get the pick 100%. He hasn't even been hired by the Falcons yet. But if he got hired, I feel confident with what I've read. And every single situation where this happened, as he got hired to a GM, they do. Doesn't matter who's making the decisions, who's making the calls. That title, GM, is what explicitly is on the website saying head coach or GM. It's just the beginning, the official JC2A originally said primary decision maker / GM. Then on the website, it clarifies head coach or GM. So can I 100% confidently give you my answer? No, because I'm not talked to the head of the league, and I'm not, freaking Roger Goodell. I'm not someone who can be the authority. But from what I've looked at and every precedent we've seen before, every single GM that's been hired as a Rooney Rule candidate has had this happen every single time. So, I mean, you look at it as, and I misspoke on this one too, people are quick to pounce on you on Twitter, but you look at Ryan Poles getting hired. Ryan Poles got hired. Ted Phillips was the president, CEO of the Bears. He's ultimately the head decision maker, correct? I mean, as far as executives go, he's the head decision maker. Hires Ryan Poles. He has the authority to fire Ryan Poles. The Chiefs got Rooney Rule compensation for the Bears hiring Ryan Poles as their GM. It's just a fact. Now, just because the Falcons say we're not going to handle it the same way, we've added an extra little position level in here. Matt Ryan is, the 1A, and then Cunningham would be the 1B. To me, I don't think that would be, a case not to get. He's an executive. He's a GM. So, anyways, have I killed this now?
Arthur Blank is no slouch. So, aside from Arthur Blank, illegally receiving money from the NFL to conjure up such crap, I mean, it just makes no sense to me. I would imagine that if Ian Cunningham leaves, it is because his role in the NFL, whatever team that may be on, is going to advance, and the Bears will be compensated for it via compensatory picks.
Correct. I'm on the same page as you, Carl. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I hope we're right. We'll find out. We'll find out. It's not the only job he'll be interviewed for, and maybe that's the reason Ian Cunningham has not taken the job so far. Maybe that's why things haven't eventuated the way they are. Maybe he wants more of a say. Maybe he doesn't want Matt Ryan over his shoulder making all the decisions. Matt Ryan has specifically said he's not going to be involved with the draft or the picks and stuff like that. It's going to be other more authoritative things. So, Ian Cunningham would still have the final say in developing the roster. But maybe he wants full GM authority, and he wants to interview a couple other places first and see where it goes. But
so if I take my angry lenses off here and I try and look at it from a subjective point of view without any anger attached to this, I do think that pairing would work well in Atlanta because, as we well know, our current general manager, whether that's many will say that's Ben Johnson, myself included, but by name, Ryan Poles, the name Matt Ryan has came out of his mouth several of time. I think that brass respects Matt Ryan, and Ian Cunningham being a part of this brass, he will adhere well, in my opinion. So whatever they decide, hope the best for all parties involved, primarily the Chicago Bears and their compensatory picks.
Yeah, it's fair. Anyways,
done.
Karl, we haven't talked since the season ended, baby. Here we are. Off-season schedule. We're going to go over that today. Actually, somebody in a previous video mentioned that last year I put up a schedule on many of my videos showing what was coming up next, and I was like, "You're right." Like I with the playoffs and everything that happened there and the excitement there, I forgot all about it. So I appreciate whoever that was. I feel like it was a big contributor to the channel too. So whoever it is, I appreciate you mentioning that. So I put that together today. Here we go. So here's the upcoming dates for the Bears and for every team. The conference championship games are the 25th, this upcoming weekend. East-West Shrine Bowl. So we're going to get right into draft coverage. If you've been watching the channel, I've done a couple things so far. I've got so many ideas and things I'm working on, guys. It's ridiculous how much I need to get done and how I'm literally staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning working on stuff. And I love it, but I can't get it all done. And I'm a little frustrated right now. Senior Bowl, the 31st, which is where, more of the big play. And I'm actually really excited. There's a couple big names that are going to the Senior Bowl Ruben Bain is going to the Senior Bowl, which he doesn't need to. He's consensus #1 defensive end. And I love that some of these players are deciding, hey, I want to go show up at the Senior Bowl and put my best foot forward and show these guys I'm willing to, show them every angle of me and every side of me and give me an opportunity to be the #1 overall pick. I freaking love it.
Did you watch even a snap of the Indiana-Miami game?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
I watched the last drive where, good old 28-year-old Carson Beck threw an interception. Aside from that, I didn't watch a down of the college football playoff period. My question to you is, did Ruben Bain have a bad game, and is him declaring for the Senior Bowl a response to that?
No, I don't think he had a bad game. Mesidor probably had the best game. That's the other defensive end for Miami, which during the game I tweeted, welcome to the Chicago Bears, Mesidor. It's just a cheeky thing. I actually don't think we'll take him with that high of a pick. But I think the player, if you're going to ask about the national championship game, the player that impressed me the most that I would not be upset one bit with us taking in the second round would be Isaiah Pons, the cornerback for Indiana. Man, he's great coverage, great. I mean, he lays a lick on guys. I won't be shocked if we take a cornerback higher than people think we do. You're going to transition right into one of the talking points we wanted to have, which is best player available, Karl. There's more needs on this team than people are acting like there are. We act like there's one need or two needs. There's actually more needs on this team. And like Ben Johnson said, it's a new year. We start from the scratch. We're at the bottom, 32. All teams are 0-0. We've proven, established nothing. And so we go from here. And there's a lot of needs on this team. We can get into that in just 1 second.
How many defensive backs were acquired in the offseason prior to C.J. Gardner-Johnson by Dennis Allen? It was one player. It was Zay Frazier, right?
Yeah,
Zay Frazier
this last draft, that's the only one, huh?
So when you're talking about an overhaul of a defense who, in my opinion, this has nothing to do with the playoff game they just had against St. Louis, because that performance against St. Louis, phenomenal, incredible. Aside from that, in the general sense, this defense, not so good. So for you guys to just come out and say, nope, do not need a cornerback because we're getting Terrell Smith back, we're getting Zay Frazier back, I don't care. Your second-round cornerback, Tyreek Stevenson, has not established himself as a true value for that second-round pick, in my opinion. And Jalen Johnson, who I think is a star, he is still dealing with that groin injury, and he self-admitted on whatever podcast he talked to. He said, I'm just simply not fully healthy. And he looks slow, and that's fine. But he will come back. He will get better. But Dennis Allen hasn't acquired any of his guys. Nashawn Wright, that's a good one.
That's right.
Very, 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 very thank you. And what did that player do? He produced. Mm-hmm. So I think what you need to do, and if you look at Nashawn Wright objectively, I mean, the player is not a lockdown. He missed out on the Pro Bowl, even though he had all those interceptions. Not to say I'm not thankful for his performance. I'll always remember the guy's effectively a hero. But Nahshon Wright, I don't think you can just pencil him like, yep, he's our cornerback too. He's iconic. He's not going anywhere. He might get plucked. He might be another guy who factors into the compensatory.
Well, and the fact is, like, if you go to Spotrac right now, like the main free agents we have, they're listing Nahshon Wright as the most expensive because of his age and his breakout. They're listing him as getting a contract of $16.5 to $17 million. The Bears just flat out.
Jalen Johnson is barely making over 20, to be clear, right?
Well, a little, yeah. I think it's 25, actually. 25 million.
25? 25 a year would be good. I'm not sure it's that high, Adam. But in any event, that's the situation at hand, right? Free agency was born, and the nature of the free agency beast, if you will, is to overpay players. Again, they're in a situation, they're on a team. You have to persuade them to come to your team to add to your situation. And that's why we see things like what the Packers did, where they need an offensive lineman and they overpay for some bum from San Francisco. So,
some bum.
Again, I do not expect Nahshon Wright to be back. And while you're looking up whatever you're looking up, Adam, I wanted to bring up the. Oh, you got it?
I was pulling up the just Spotrac to the screen just so we can kind of look at some of these contracts. DJ Moore, Montez Sweat, the highest one. Jalen Johnson, $25 million a year the next 2 years. Joe Tooney, $21.5. Dio Dangbo, $20. And we're not even getting into the flexibility of these. I mean, there's a lot of.
Dio Dangbo is a top 5 earner for my football team. Oh my God.
You know, we could actually, if he's not going to play this year, it's not without reason that we could actually cut him. That's something nobody's really talking about, but we could cut him. And yeah, it would give us some dead cap. So if we release him, no, trade him. It's trade him that I was looking at. We can't cut him. Cut him would actually be negative. We'd lose more salary cap than we gain because we have to pay part of next year. So it's trade him. No one's going to trade for that contract, though. Next year, we can easily cut him. I'm sorry.
It's not a Chase Claypool situation where the guy literally sucks and is a deterrent to your football team. Just because he isn't good enough doesn't mean he can't contribute. I mean, the head coach did praise his run defense, if anything, right? And I know that's not the most sexy thing to talk about here on the YouTubes, but again, there's going to be a lot of situations where we're going to draft a player, and initially you're going to say, "What the heck?" My good buddies at Bearski Film, they did a live reaction to Colston Loveland, and they thought that the pick was so bad that they refused to go live for the rest of the picks because they were just so blown out of the water. Me, as a Michigan fan, I questioned it, admittedly. But again, when you talk about needs, and we have the videos to prove this, we talked about the Bears need a receiving tight end 2 and a wide receiver 3/wide receiver 4. Well, you can't control that Colston Loveland, the best tight end in the draft, failed to you, and that you had mixed analysis to grade him from good quarterback play in 2023 and bad quarterback play in 2024. Come to the conclusion he's the best player on the board. I don't care if he's tight end 2, you draft him.
Yeah, I think a lot of my posts lately, and it's funny because Carl likes to be a contrarian with me, and I love Carl for it. Carl's he's good at bringing. I'm trying to be very polite to Carl because I love you. He's good at bringing another angle to things, which makes for having fun on the show. Like, he gets me riled up sometimes, and I think sometimes he likes to do that on purpose because he loves me. But I put out in the last mock draft on purpose. Guys, whenever I do a mock draft, it was just yesterday's mock draft. Whenever I do a mock draft, it's because I want to show a different angle. It's not ever, oh, look, pick A, B, C, D, E. This is a cool mock draft. Here you go. I'm always trying to do something on this channel to either show you late round sleepers, show the salary cap, show a different angle. And on this one, I took offensive tackle in the first round. And I actually felt really good doing it because if you guys know Caleb Lomu, he was consensus top 5, top 10 pick at the end of last year, kind of like, Luther Burden. He's got incredible, if you watch his tape, he's got incredible kick slide. Like he moves fluidly like a offensive tackle shouldn't. My first criticism of Ozzie Trapillo when he started playing was he pencils up and he gets thin. He doesn't move fluidly. He needs to work on that. That's something that can be coached. It's something that can change. He got there. He worked on it. He looked really good by the time he got injured. Caleb Lomu is good size. He probably just needs to hit the weight room and become less, I'm not trying to be offensive to players, less Coleman Shelton and more Drew Dahlman. And if you know what I'm referring to, less 300 pounds with that belly showing and more freaking look like a stacked rock. I mean, you look at pictures of Drew Dahlman, and he's one of the most muscular offensive linemen I've ever seen. He's actually built like a rock. And so Caleb Lomu could use some conditioning, get some strength, but his base is already good. So if he falls to the Bears at 25 and we need a left tackle, I'm not going to be shocked if Ryan Poles says this is one of the most premium positions. Quarterback, tackle, edge, and the most elite of defensive tackles, and I guess the most elite of wide receivers are the highest paid players in the NFL. That's just a fact. So if he says, you know what, Ozzie Trapillo's out for the year, we didn't even have enough confidence to put Theo Benedict in for the playoff game when Ozzie was out. We instead decided to kick over our Hall of Famer guard to tackle and bring in another guard on the inside rather than play Theo Benedict. That shows you they don't have confidence going into 2026 without Ozzie Trapillo. And I will not be shocked one bit if best player available is a tackle that drops to us in the first round. I won't be shocked one bit. Now, I would love if it's something like Carter Smith. I watched him in the championship game. He didn't have his best game, but he's looked good all year. Indiana's left tackle. Love to take him in the second or third round, or even the comp pick from Ian Cunningham if that ends up eventuating. My priority, and I've made it known on this channel, is defensive tackle, but I won't be shocked if best player available at one of those premium positions is who we take in the first. I won't be shocked this year. There's several things that we could do.
Yeah, you keep bringing up premium positions, and it's something to take note of. But again, I think the only way to attack the NFL draft is just best player available. You can't control when the Patriots pass on Luther Burden and arguably the best receiver in the draft falls to you at pick 39. You simply can't control that, right? So if we're talking about this Lomu guy, if we're talking about Caden Proctor, you really can't control that. If that player falls to you, you have to draft that player. And I had a series of tweets. I called it toilet thoughts because maybe yes or no, they were made while I was on the toilet. I think what you have to do as far as your left tackle in 2026, do not think of Ozzie Trapillo as anything more than a name on the board. Just like last year with Karan Omega DJ, right? You want to have that player on your football team because he is a high draft pick and he has shown a lot of promise, quite a lot of promise from Ozzie Trapillo. But you cannot say he's going to come back. We just have to steady the ship for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. Screw that. I think what you have to do is, in my opinion, what I would do is let Braxton Jones walk, and I would replace Braxton Jones before the NFL draft.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
What if, Carl, and Spotrac has Braxton Jones listed at $5 million, and he's probably going to hit the market just to test it and see if he can get 10, 13 million and be a starting left tackle, which would garner us a comp pick, which is what we talk about on here. But Ryan Poles doesn't care about comp picks. That's not why he's working his offseason, is for comp picks. Ben Johnson doesn't care about our comp picks. Ben Johnson wants to assemble a roster that's going to win a Super Bowl. That's all he cares about. So if we're looking at this and we have the limited salary cap we have, and we have to restructure some contracts as it is to re-sign Kevin Byard, we're probably, I'm going to actually pull this up. Let me show you guys this.
Yeah, I directly asked you for your top 10 moves.
Yeah, I'll get that pulled up. I did the video on the top 10 moves. Is this showing here right now? Okay, it is. All right, so here is where we stand right now, and this is not even including – see, I didn't include Deion Hankins because he's a practice squad player, but he's officially signed because he was on the injured reserve, so he's technically still signed, which is fine. But these yellows, those are needs, okay? Those are needs, and we're already, as it stands, when you include our draft class, which is, $12 million, and you include our practice squad, which is $4 million. Each practice squad member makes $250,000 a year. We're $12 million over the cap as it stands right now. Okay, so just to have a roster on the field, you're going to have to cut Tremaine Edmonds and save $15 million. You're going to have to restructure DJ Moore and save $16 million there. You're going to this is a no-brainer to me. You're restructuring, taking that $7.6 million from Joe Thuney this year and putting it to next year. You're only restructuring the players you intend to keep on the team because you're building more dead cap. You're basically saying, we are not going to cut you. We're going to restructure this and give you more guarantee in so doing. When some fans hear restructure, they think, oh, it's advantageous for the team. we're going to take Cole Kmet and restructure that $4 million out. We're just going to take it out of his contract and say, you don't deserve $4 million. No, it's taking and putting more guarantees on the back end of his contract and saying, you will be filling out this contract. We're going to make sure you. So if you don't want DJ Moore on this team, if you feel like if you're one of those guys that are pushing the agenda that he's a loafer, that he's lazy, that he doesn't finish his routes, you do not want to restructure the $16 million. You're giving him more guarantees. When next year and the year after, 2029, he's only got $4 million in dead cap. You can easily get rid of DJ Moore after 2026, but you're hitched with him for this year. Go ahead.
May I throw a caveat just right into there? If you remember when the Chicago Bears traded Khalil Mack to the Los Angeles Chargers, one of the reasons potentially that the Chicago Bears got as high of a draft pick as they did, it was a second-round pick, which turned into Jaquan Brisker. The Bears ate Mack's salary that year. Mm-hmm. So that is part of this too. So if you want more compensation for DJ Moore, you will eat more of that salary so that you're accommodating the other team. And on the flip side, if DJ Moore was to be shipped out for, God forbid, a late third and early fourth round pick, that team better be eating the entirety of that salary and then some. So that is all something that the general manager is very much tasked with doing.
I don't know if I jumped thoughts too quickly, but with this whole thing with Braxton Jones, he was playing his best football before his injury. Obviously didn't come back the best this year. I won't be shocked one bit if the Bears re-sign Braxton Jones to a $5 to $10 million contract. It's cheaper than any other left tackle option. He's already here, and he wants to prove himself. He knows Ozzy's gone. Okay, I want to prove myself, and then I can go get a huge contract somewhere else. I'm still fairly young. He's just barely at the end of his rookie contract. I'll sign that $5 to $10 million. It's not the worst situation for the Bears or for Braxton Jones. I know the fans will hate it. Fans hate, they get on this rampage where a player let them down or didn't fulfill what they thought he should do. And then all of a sudden, he's the worst player in the world. Braxton Jones is not the best player in the world. He's not a top 10 left tackle, but he's a serviceable starting left tackle. And next to Joe Thuney, we haven't seen that yet with Braxton Jones. It might actually be really good for both the Bears and Braxton Jones, and he could get a
say that one more time.
Next to Joe Thuney,
we have seen Braxton Jones next to Joe Thuney.
Not this whole year. This whole last year, though. I mean, this whole last year
he was our starting left tackle for like the first 4 games, and then yes, he sustained a knee injury. I'm finding out, but in any event, a football player who has shown you what they have to this new coaching staff in the most dire of circumstances, they fight. They said, "Fuck that! We're gonna move the guard to tackle." That's how bad Braxton Jones is through the lens of the Chicago Bears, in my opinion.
Well, you could say the same thing
I don't
about
know,
Theo Benedict. They could say they said the exact same thing about him too.
Hold on. We talked about that, right? We talked about how valuable the 6th offensive lineman at that role is. So they kind of, in a sense, actually had 6 starters, and they kept one in Theo Benedict. He had the exact same role. I can't remember if he ran another route against St. Louis, but again, they knew something that we didn't with McFadden, and we all knew that last year Joe Thuney played left tackle in the playoffs. So again, very unsurprising at the end of all is said and done. I would have much preferred that the Bears said, yep, keeping the guard, keeping Theo Benedict, so we're not going to change 2 positions, and we're actually just going to replace straight up left tackle for left tackle. But Braxton Jones simply was not good enough for that reality, and that makes me very scared.
I agree with
relying on Braxton Jones or giving him money.
I'm giving you another angle here. You have limited salary cap. This is what I'm showing you right here. I mean, I'm going to pull this back up. Let's go. How do I get? What the heck is going on with my screen here? All right.
But I'm saying here. Like
look at all these. Look at all these voids we have to fill. We have to get a third string. That can be cheap. Olamide Zaccheaus, Devin Duvert, those can be cheap. Backup tight end, that can be cheap. Theo Benedict, Jordan McFadden, they can be filled by ERFA. They're going to be, this is an exact number. I just filled it in because we're going to exercise the exclusive right on both of them. You got a left tackle we need. I'm not saying it's Braxton Jones. I'm showing the need, that we have a need here. You need 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends. You need a linebacker. Now, some of these are going to be filled, and it could be DeMarco Jackson. I'm hoping it's DeMarco Jackson. You need a nickel. You need a cornerback. You need a free safety, a strong safety, 2 backup safeties, and a long snapper. Now, let's say we re-sign a bunch of – even if we re-sign a bunch of those guys to league minimum contracts, those 18 needs we have at $1 million, it's $18 million. We're $30 million over the cap. Just to create space for that, you've got to cut Tremaine Edmonds, fill another spot. Then you've got to restructure someone's contract, probably Joe Tooney's, probably Jonah Jackson's, probably DJ Moore, and you still don't have enough money to go get a superstar. So you're going to have to fill it with a couple of these roles until you get to next year's offseason where we have extreme cap space and you have all the flexibility in the world and you can cut everybody. I mean, there's so much to do and so little to do it in is all I'm trying to say here. So if we go with Braxton Jones, I won't be shocked. I look at the comments on the side here. Look at the comments on the stage. Braxton sucks. He got benched and then he got injured. Braxton has to go. Braxton played terrible. That's why he was benched. I'm not disagreeing with any of you. Braxton Jones, after his injury, has come back. The first 4 games of the season did not look like elite Braxton Jones. The offensive line also didn't look great to start the year. It took them time to cohese. We said we'd be playing our best game football in December. I'm not saying Braxton Jones is going to be a superstar. I'm saying if you need a bridge year, I won't be shocked if that's the route we go because that's going to be one of the cheapest while getting one of the most reliable. Oh, don't crucify me. I know the comments are going to start coming here, but for $5 to $7, $8 million for a guy on a prove-it deal that's already worked in this system, who played really good football till his injury, it's not. He's average. I mean, he's an average left. He's not Ozzie. I see way more potential in Ozzie, but Ozzie's out for 2026. You have to have a bridge. It's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like picking up a bridge quarterback to make it through one more year. It's like who did the Colts pick up? Like Philip. It's like picking up Phillip Rivers to bridge until Daniel Jones comes back from his injury. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this is what I want. I do not want Braxton Jones to be the left tackle. I'm saying I won't be shocked.
We need a player like Braxton Jones. You have to replace Braxton Jones with another Braxton Jones. And I know Braxton Jones was on the rookie contract, so signing one is not going to be easy. And the obvious move would be to just draft one that isn't in maybe it is a first round pick. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
This is why I won't be shocked.
All my point here is I would not have that monster be an issue, right? You don't want to say, okay, Ozzie is out for 2026. We're going to let Braxton Jones walk. We're not going to sign a replacement before the draft. And the only obvious left tackle on the roster at that point is named Karan Amagaji, who has been MIA for 24 months, right? So I think you need to find a replacement. And what I would do if I did this for a living or whatever, I would look at the parallels with the coaching staff. I know there's a lot of moving parts right now with guys who are being interviewed, and we have no idea what the staff will look like next year. Obviously, we know Bieniemy is gone.
Yep, he's already gone.
Declan Doyle is getting
interviewed several
coordinator interviews.
Yep.
Ben Johnson's not going anywhere.
Al Harris has been interviewed.
The offensive line coach, Dan Roshar, I don't think he's going anywhere. So look at, we'll call it the scrap heap, right? The tier 2, the tier 3 guys in free agency before the draft. Who has played with Roshar at New Orleans? Who has played with Declan Doyle at Denver, things like that, right? That's where I would draw the parallels. And there's got to be a name on there who you'd be able to bring in and say, okay, if I need to rely on this guy in the absolute worst scenario, I will. I think that if you do that and you don't get a Caden Proctor or the guy from Utah, I forgot his name already, in the first round,
Caleb Loma,
I think you will maybe force the issue in round 2 there, or sorry, day 2 of the draft, right? Whether that's taking the Indiana guy around early in round 2, whatever the case is, I think that's the likely outcome here. But again, I think that from the Chicago Bears point of view, from Ben Johnson's storytelling, again, I'm calling him the pseudo general manager, I would be shocked if Braxton Jones is a player who's starting at left tackle in 2026 for the Bears.
I agree with you. This is why I did the mock draft I did. And, a lot of people actually liked it, but there were a lot of comments of, no, we have to take edge first. We have to take defensive tackle. And guys, on this channel, I've been pounding for months, taking defense a year. You can actually say a year since last draft, taking defensive tackle in round 1. And there's a lot of them that I love, but there's also some really good options in round 2. And if you trade up, I'm telling you right now, Lee Hunter might be the best defensive tackle in this class by the time next year's season is over. And right now he's projected as a second rounder. I think I like Lee Hunter more than, I got to be careful what I say, more than Caleb Banks, more than Caden McDonald. I don't know. There's Lee Hunter's really fun to watch his tape. He's got burst. In fact, let me see anyways, I want to hit this. How likely will Ozzie come back from his injury? I heard it very well could be career, and you don't know. How will he come back? That's the unknown. Like we know from Ryan Poehl's press conference that he's likely out for all of 2026. They said if he does return, it's going to be at the very end. which I would assume means,
the exact verbiage he used was deep into the season.
Right. Correct.
So again, if you're talking about, week 12 and beyond, who's starting the first 3 quarters of your season, that is a serious injury that needs to be addressed. The statistic that I heard, and again, I don't know the source I got it from, but I feel like the source it came from was credible. It was effectively like 50% of players who receive this injury ever return to even equal level of what they were pre-injury. So it's a very, very serious injury. And again, it is a goddamn shame. And when I think of this magical 2025 season, I will never forget Ozzy Trapillo getting off the football field with that injury to save us a timeout. I will never forget that. And I'm trying to be very bullish on this point because a lot of you guys were poo-pooing at me for my opinion on Ozzy Trapillo in the beginning. It was never about the player. It was about the process.
So
and the process was, if you have a day 2 draft pick, I think that football player should be at the very least starting on your football team. Doesn't have to be an immediate impact, right? Talk about a Shamar Turner. Shamar Turner was rotating and providing to you on your football team, but he's not a jag. So if we're talking about drafting offensive linemen in the 2nd round, 3rd round again, I want that player contributing somehow, some way. And we know Ben Johnson doesn't just use 5 offensive linemen, he used 6. So again, that's the route I would go.
Okay, I like this one. Mikey, do you draft a left tackle or free agency? Here's what we're kind of all over the place. I appreciate you guys being a part of this. 120 in the chat right, or 120 viewing right now. Makes me feel excited for the offseason for the Bears. But what we just talked about, you're going to find a mid-tier left tackle. I'm talking Braxton Jones type for $7 to $10 million.
Or less.
I don't think you're going to find it for less. That's a position where you're finding good backups. I mean, look at what Morgan Moses went for last year. You're finding backups. It's hard to get a good left tackle. You need to develop them now. So my preference, and this is why I made the mock draft I made, I'm okay taking left tackle in the 1st round. You might solidify that spot for the next half a decade with Caleb Williams, with a player that was potentially a first top 10 pick last year. In fact, the top of the boards, there was Miami's left tackle, Caden Proctor, and Caleb Lomu that were all in the top 5 after the prior draft. Then they do the next year's draft.
You told me this. I specifically remember that you said that this draft would be chock full of iconic left tackle talent. And it's not your fault that you didn't know how these players would pan out. No one would know that, right? But I remember regurgitating that and saying that this left tackle class could, at the very least, could be special. And if you're the Chicago Bears, you can't control what players fall to you. So from my point of view, you don't go out and say, oh, I need a left tackle. I'm going to trade up. I'm going to trade up to 10, take Caden Proctor, all this BS. Just play it how the ball, where the cards lie. The board falls to you. If a Luther Burden's there at 39, you draft him because he's the best wide receiver in the draft. If Lomu, Caden Proctor are there, you draft him and you never look back. But you shouldn't reach.
Yeah, I agree completely. So my opinion, you've got Karan Amagaji. I know it's not exciting. You got Theo Bennett, who showed some promise. What did we do last year in the offseason? We had Braxton Jones, Ozzy Trapillo, and Theo Bennett, and it turned into a 3-player, basically fighting it out in the preseason.
Theo was never given a chance by anyone that wasn't a direct member of the Chicago Bears. He was an afterthought, right? So again, I don't know if there's a story like that dwelling on this roster or something that we aren't aware of.
I'm talking.
But again, Karan was a name that was involved in that process, and I think even from the Bears' point of view, he had a shot. And I really don't know what happened with the kid. I think there was another injury, or he just hadn't made his way back.
Another injury.
But who's to say that Karan Amagaji can't be?
But they already officially said they're moving him to guard. So that's regardless.
They did?
Yes, that was earlier in the season. The point I was getting at, you kind of strayed there, Carl. We went into the camp with it being clearly said that these 3 would be battling it out in camp. Braxton Jones, Theo Bennett, and Ozzy Trapillo. They said that. So I'm talking, we get to camp, not before the draft or anything else. I'm saying we draft someone at some point in this draft. I would prefer it higher because you need to have someone that's got a clue what they're doing. It's an easier transition. It's proven 1st round, 2nd round left tackles transition much easier. You can find some gems. That happens. You get some later round ones, but for year 1, having success, your top of the draft guys are the best ones for that. And let them duke it out. Let Theo Benedict, let Karan Amagaji, and let the rookie duke it out in camp and see who's going to be your starter. But you take so free agency or the draft.
What I would do,
I'm saying we draft one 100%.
What I would do is if Karan is able to prove that he is healthy to the Bears as a whole, and prove that he's worth his weight in whatever superlative you want to say to the coaching staff, I would pencil in Karan Amagaji to the Ozzy Trapillo role, in the sense that you are giving him the most fair and honest shot to win the job. If he doesn't win it, so be it. Give him a shot.
I think he's already had his fair and honest shot, Carl. I think that is dead and gone. I think he's dead in the water.
I know that they have said that he is taking practice reps at guard. I do remember that. I think even before the season started, or like after the preseason was over, Ryan Poles was forced to do some sort of availability, and they asked him. Again, this is a special situation where you don't have a lot of money. You have a left tackle who you want to start that simply cannot because he's injured. Why not give Karan a fair and honest shot? Again, I'm not counting on Karan. I'm not saying to pass on a Caden Proctor and to not pay a free agent because Karan is on the team.
So why not give
hogwash?
Why not give Karan a fair and honest shot? Because you'll murder Caleb Williams. He'll go back to having 68 sacks in a season, and it'll be.
I'm not too sure about that. I mean, it would be a clear and obvious downgrade. But Caleb Williams has shown you that he has.
Yeah, Caleb can escape stuff. Yeah, Caleb is a big reason for it.
Caleb's God-given ability cannot be something that you just overlook, right? Again, maybe from like the point of view of the offensive line, you obviously want the best 5 that you could possibly have. But we're talking about a team, again, we've said it multiple times. Right now, we have a lot of holes to fill, and we're under on the cap. So when it comes to the team,
is there anything else we want to look at this before I get rid of it? Anything else you want to see on the cap here? That is Adam's spreadsheet.
I feel like I've seen some things in the chat that would be worthwhile, but like, again, a lot of people asking like, how are we negative when we have all these UFAs? I don't know if there's a way for you to sort by highest earners on this spreadsheet.
They were backloaded contracts. Jalen Johnson's making more at the end of this contract. Tremaine Edmonds making more at the end of this contract. Grady Jarrett making more this year. Montez Sweat making more. Dio Dangbo only made $8 million last year. Now he's making $20 million this year. Jonah Jackson, same thing. Drew Dahlman, we did that intentionally so we could have flexibility with the roster moving forward. We can cut Tremaine Edmonds now. We're going to do. I'd almost put money on it. I'll give Kalshi odds of 80-1 that we're cutting Tremaine Edmonds. Now, whether we resign him, that's up to Dennis Allen, but he's not going to be playing for $17 million next year for the Bears. That won't happen. We can't. Another person asked in one of the video threads, can we trade Tremaine Edmonds for a 7th rounder? You can't trade that contract. That's why you cut that contract. Nobody will pay Tremaine Edmonds $17 million this year. And now we'd have to eat 2.5, but nobody's going to pay him $15 million this year.
Right. If Tremaine is worth more than a 7th round pick, then maybe the Bears can receive that 7th round pick in exchange for the player and the team eating the salary, right?
We're not going to eat the salary. That's the worst position we're in. So you're not going to trade a 3rd round or a day 3 pick end of the draft that could be cut. I mean, we're all excited because this year we basically kept all our draft picks. But in a normal year, you draft 7 guys. We're maybe keeping 5.
Well, don't say the word normal. For the Chicago Bears, your draft picks are, they're going to be on the team, and it's a foregone conclusion. We're not at the point just yet where our team is so iconic that day 3 picks aren't good enough for our team. We're not there yet. But didn't I just see, Adam, that PFF called the Chicago Bears draft class the most valuable draft class?
Yeah, as far as WAR, so wins above replacement, I reposted that.
And I'm not asking you to expound on that just yet. The reason I brought it up is just that I think that cannot be a lucky draft class. I think that has to be the way that you draft moving forward for the short term. You need your 2026 draft class to hit, and you need to draft starters yet again.
I agree with you. You've got to take best player available. And there's a lot of positions. So I see a lot of questions on the side. In previous years, I've had my preference where I've said this needs to be this, and this needs to be this, and this needs to be this, and you have to take one of these guys. There's so many good offensive tackles in the 1st round. I mean, should we pull up just a generic mock big board? Let's do that. Let's just pull up a generic mock big board just so we can look at it real quick.
You said something that many Michigan fans would get frustrated at to me when you texted me earlier, but again, as a Michigan fan, if a certain guy named Caleb Downs fell to you somehow, some way,
Sure. I mean, look
that
at
is a freaking football player right there, man.
Look, we have a need for linebacker. We have a need for edge. It's not nearly as big as some of the other needs. That's the thing that kind of frustrates me is people overtake. We've got Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, Dio Dingbo, Shamar Turner, and then it would be stupid to let Joe Tryon walk out the door with him being our highest graded and our best run defensive end. I think it would be dumb to let him walk. We might do it. I don't know.
Is Dominique Robinson out of contract as well?
He's out of contract, and I don't see us.
That's terrifying. I think if I had to choose between Joe and Dom Rob, as someone who I think that I have done at this point the last 2 years worth of mock off seasons, I've cut Dom Rob both years. 2026, man, the first year I'm saying I want Dom Rob on my football team.
Not over Joe Troyon. Are you with the rest of the fan base that doesn't realize how valuable Joe Troyon is? Joe Troyon is the highest graded, best run defensive. He's the only one that contained the edge for us. Austin Booker at the end of the year was starting to do that. So I freaking love it. But we need safety. Like we need water in a desert. We need offensive tackle now, clearly. And, you got Francis Mwaga, Spencer Fanau. And Francis Mwaga, Spencer Fanau. And then Caleb Lomu is the other one.
What I'm hearing is that Jeremiah Love is your draft pick for the Chicago Bears. I say that jokingly.
I would take Jeremiah Love before I would take an edge. That's about the only position.
You would take Jeremiah Love before an edge that isn't named Ruben Bain.
Yes,
got
exactly.
it. Perfect. Actually, firm handshake on that.
Do you want to know who my sleeper defensive end is? I'm going to try to find where they have him on this list. Sorry if this is just scrolling your eyes here.
Josiah Stewart.
You're gonna hate it.
Ohio State. What do you got?
You're going to absolutely hate it. And it happens every year because there's guys that aren't starters previously, and so they don't have them anywhere on their mock boards. And then they become a starter, and they're a star in their first. So it's only 1 year. I actually like Bud Clark a lot, too.
Actually, Adam, do you know what you're describing? Unironically, you are currently describing Colston Loveland.
Yeah,
Loveland was a good player in 2023. He was fine. But his teammate, and again, he's going to be watching him play a football game on Sunday.
How low do they
AJ Barner was a starter.
I'm going to have to sort by freaking position because I didn't realize he'd be this low. My goodness. I've got my rankings going. I'm so freaking deep into this stuff. I'm going to have a lot of stuff out right there. They have him at 99. That's actually better. So to start the year, they had him at 400. Caden Curry is actually probably the sleeper of this entire draft. And I mentioned Zion Young when he was down at 134. I like Zion Young a lot. And obviously, the guys that I'm seeing other places are going to see too. But Caden Curry is a star in the making, and I feel like he's way undervalued. I have Caden Curry for me probably right up in this range right here, above Gabe Jacas. I know a lot of people on this channel like Gabe Jacas because of Illinois, but I have Caden Curry. In fact, should I do a little sneak peek?
Let's do it.
Let's see.
Why wouldn't we? Give the people what they want.
Positional workbook. Da-da-da. Oh, you be quiet, computer. There's a lot I'm working on. Here's my defensive end book right now. And it's not finished, so don't be jumping on me and being upset with me over it.
Yes, Steve Rogers, I know it's a little bit small on the screen. Caden Curry is the edge from Ohio State. That is who Adam is talking about.
Is it small? I'm sorry, I'm not looking at this. Yeah, Caden Curry is who I'm talking about. Let me remove this one. Let me stop it. Okay, I'm kind of sharing stuff that I wouldn't normally share here, but this is for a future video. I do this every year, my rankings. So let's add to screen, share my screen. This is my defensive end right now, the work that I do for it. So here's all the defensive ends in this class. And a little spoiler here. Blue means they're in the top 5% of all defensive ends in this category. Dark green means top 10%. Light green means top 25%. Red means bottom 20%. Yellow means bottom 40%. So you got pass rush, you got pass rush and run defense. And these are my most important categories in there. You got run snaps. It's just how many snaps. It's just a number. Their run defensive grade, their stop percentage. If you don't know what a stop is, it's just how many times they actually create a stop on, critical downs, third, fourth down, where they're trying to run the ball. You are you are the one that's responsible for the stop. These high percentages, 10% is phenomenal. Average depth of tackle, obviously you want that number lower. Missed tackle, this isn't as critical to me. You see a lot of red. I'm not as worried at the college level as much about missed tackles, but pass rush, PRP is PFF's metric for generating pressure. Win percentage is the biggest thing that's important to me right here. Generating pressure with win percentage. And then sack hit hurry is my own metric that I create that's basically just dividing how many pass rush snaps I get by how many pressures. And obviously at 4.45 is phenomenal. I actually think David Bailey, if you're just looking at these stats, there's a reason he's jumped into the top 10. But you look here at Caden Curry, look at all that green and blue. All that is really pretty.
Well, while we're on the topic of these stats, and I know you just said that, you created a stat or whatever. It wasn't a guy from PFF. It was just some random guy I saw on Twitter. He came up with a unique metric for running backs. I think he legitimately called it cool shit. The cool shit percentage. Did you see that?
Is that the Denver Broncos content creator? What's his name?
I don't know about that. But
he's got a segment on his shows that he calls it cool shit.
Well, what it was it was like every time a running back broke a tackle, did a spin move, did a hurdle, a stiff arm, any of these things, right? And it was like, I don't know. I'll try and find it. I think I might be able to find it. But again, if you're able to come up with some sort of fun metric like that, I think that would be a really, really cool.
I don't care how fun they are. I care more about
angle to your channel.
Stuff. But
it's actual stuff, but like I don't know how. I'm not very creative in these types of things, right? So run defense, right? You instead of a run defense grade, you could have some sort of like stop percentage plus average depth of tackle, all these things, and just give it a funny name, right? Like,
but I don't want to just make up stat categories to make up a stat category. I'm doing it for.
It wouldn't be fictitious though. It would just be like an interesting curveball to it instead of the black and white, the cut and dry.
But you start to look at some of these things, and this is why guys like, Zion Young stick out to me. And this win percentage, I really like. Joshua Josephs, if you watch his tape, his matches all this too. Like Joshua Josephs is severely underrated. If we can grab him in the second round, he's just a little light. So I don't like the lightness of him. But Caden Curry, 6'3", 260, phenomenal year, but it's a one-hit wonder. So he's become one of my favorite. But you see on PFF, their ranking has him at 347. Now, obviously, Mock Draft Database has him at 99 now. Yeah, Perna, that's his name, Brandon Perna. Sorry, said it in the chat. But so I really like Caden Curry a lot, and I think he's being undervalued. If we took him with a second or third round, but other teams are going to see these same things, and they're going to see it the same way. But you can see some guys like Anthony Lucas, who was 68th on PFF, I can't help but just drop him down. I don't see a lot on tape as I watch him, and a lot on here that's making me very excited about him. Go to the defensive tackles. Oh, that was last year's. I mocked it all up. Here's the defensive tackles for this year. This is the one I'm most interested in. And look at how I've jumped Lee Hunter up. Watching tape on Lee Hunter, watching him here. Look at his sack hit hurry, way lower than everybody else's. His win percentage above 11%. His pass rush grade, and still not sacrificing on run defense. Low missed tackle, average depth of tackle of 0.4, stop percentage of 10. And right now he's PFF ranked at 52. I won't be shocked one bit if Lee Hunter, in fact, I think I have just a short clip because I'm preparing something here. Let me get rid of that. Stop screen. Let's see if I can find one second here. Video file.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot find the metric that I'm talking about, which is a darn shame. Steve Rogers is asking,
here we go. You ready for this?
Peek of your DTs. Let's see it.
Here we go. So here's Lee Hunter. Let's try to make it short enough that I hate doing these when it's live because I wonder if I'll get banned for it. But here's Lee Hunter with his pop and disengage. Watch this. Watch. So he's right in the middle. He's the big boy. He pops and disengages so freaking well with these. So you can't have my pointer. He's right in the middle of the screen. Right there. Right in the middle. Right over the center. Okay. So
I think right above the referee. Yep.
Pop and watch this disengage. Just shucks that guy to the side. And he's so quick.
What's the competition here? Who's he playing against? What team?
It's a bowl game. Look, Capital One. This must be a semifinal game.
Okay.
Who did Texas Tech play in the first round of the
Couldn't tell you. Didn't watch a snap. Didn't watch a snap of the CFP this year. I lied. I did. I watched Carson Beck through an interception. That's all I watched. Of the entire playoff of all teams.
Shuck. And there's not just one play like this. It's over and over with this kid. Let me take this one off. Let me see if I can find another.
So does that player have a better or worse get off than Jervon Dexter?
So his better than Dexter, but that's his one knock. He's not the quickest get off, but he makes up for it with, he's lightning quick. He's 330 pounds. There's seriously not many 330 pounders I've ever seen move with the fluidity that he moves when you watch his. I don't have my other stuff ready to share on here. This was kind of impromptu, so I don't have it ready. But I really like Lee Hunter a lot. Like he does it constantly. Like he has good moves with his hands, really strong hands. No, I'm not sharing any more until I get ready to present it all. You guys get nothing else. This is it. Got sneak peek on the live. That's it. Being Grinch. Oregon against Texas Tech. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so here, I'll pull that one back up, though, just so you guys can see this one more time, because I know it's kind of fun to look at this. But this is all the defensive tackles, and it doesn't mean everything. You have to watch tape combined with grades. So this is where PFF has its limitations. It's not just, but this is where I get my start to who I want to go look at. Because I'll admit, Peter Woods, high missed tackle rate, his pressure rate isn't the best this year. You got to look at last year for Peter Woods to look at how phenomenal he is. He still looks good this year, but he looked better last year for Clemson. Caleb Banks, you get a limited sample size because he was injured all of this year, so you have to go look at last year's. But this is really small. I know. I'm sorry, guys. So I can only share so much when it being so small, but we'll look at like this. So other people will bring up, other names. Christian Miller, there's a reason I like Kristen Miller. Look at right here. Look at all this. Everything, pass rush. These guys that both win in pass rush and defend the run. I almost want this stop percentage more than I want the pass rush, but we have to have pass rush to help, push that pocket back to help our edges. Montez Sweat and Austin Booker aren't bad edges at all. In fact, they're really good, but they get no help from the defensive tackles. There's a couple screen grabs I've shared on Twitter where they'll literally be collapsed in the pocket, and both of our defensive tackles will be, a foot upfield. They didn't penetrate the pocket at all. And I'm like, this is not defensive end fault. This is defensive tackle fault. So I want both win percentage and stop rate. And you see Lee Hunter, and I think that was, let's go look over here. Scroll it out a little bit. But Caleb Banks, you got to take more of last year than this year. But Kristen Miller, Caden McDonald, all really good at that.
Caden McDonald's a name that I've been seeing mocked to the Bears more and more each and every single day, too. And again, as a Michigan fan, wouldn't hate it.
There's a lot of these. The thing is, this draft is really good because there's a lot of big defensive. Getting those 330 pounders that can move is the thing that that's what I really want. Lee Hunter, 330 pounds, can move. Caleb Banks, 330 pounds, probably the most athletic freak of this draft. It's just he has the injury. So if they come back with no injury problems with him, if they do it at the combine and he looks completely checked out, because he came back and played the last 2 games, but he wasn't up to football shape. He missed the entire year other than the last 2 games, and he just didn't look like his normal self. So he's a little bit off. So this year you can't really take that whole thing for him. Caden McDonald, 326 pounds and moves. Dante Corleone, 335 pounds, doesn't move. Darrell Jackson, same thing, 337 pounds, doesn't move. Xavier Harris from Ole Miss, he moves pretty well. He's 6'8", though, and I worry at the NFL level if he's going to be able to get low enough with his pad level for guys to get under him if he can move the same way he did in college. And I think that's a general kind of concern that other people might have too, but really good at shedding guys as well. Xavier Harris is also another really good one. I like Rayshon Benny. He's just not quite the size. Rayshon Benny. You should. Benny.
Who's that? No, I mean, that defense was just so far beyond the national champion level that I have come to expect, maybe, right? It's a fine player. He's not bad at all. Someone asked me earlier about Marlon Klein as well, who I believe is the tight end from Michigan. Fun fact, his hometown, he's from Germany, which I think is really, really freaking cool. Marlon Klein is a guy who's multiple tiers below Loveland, tier below A.J. Barner. Again, I've watched those players. Those players were excellent for Michigan. Not sure we're going to be in the market for a player like that. I know when we're talking cap and all these things, we're very, very quick to say, oh, we'll cut Cole Kmet. We'll trade Cole Kmet and save cap. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. I'm missing. We can go a little bit longer if you want, Carl. I can tell you later, but we're good.
Okay.
I don't have Taekwondo tonight. My kid hurt her foot, so we're not.
That's not good.
I know we're okay. All right, let's look at a couple of these because we said it was going to be mailbag. So I do want to hit some questions from people, but I think the biggest thing from this episode that I wanted to portray, and Carl and I are actually in agreement for once. Carl, we agree on something. There's needs and there's premium needs, and really this draft really does need to be best player available type of draft. You've got safe, and a lot of it's going to depend on how we address, restructuring some of these contracts and who we re-sign. I think it's a no-brainer to re-sign Kevin Byard. You've seen him as the vocal leader on the sideline. He's always the one rallying up the defense. He's had an all-pro year. You don't let Kevin Byard walk. With his age, he's still manageable. You should be able to sign him for 10, 12 million a year. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say there's a real chance that while Kevin Byard is the better player, Jaquan Brisker will command more money due to the age, right? And the Chicago Bears are in that window where you have a quarterback, an elite quarterback on a rookie contract. And aside from a total 180 on what we've seen, Caleb Williams in about 2 years is going to be getting one of those $60 million extensions.
Yep.
You need to go all in while you can.
Did you see my thing on Twitter a little while ago about Caleb and his contract?
No, what's that?
If he ends up winning us a Super Bowl, the equivalent to what Pat Mahomes got paid would be around $70 million a year with today's salary cap compared.
Right. And you would, if he wins a Super Bowl, you feel very confident in him in the long term too. And the way that you kind of get around that enormous amount of money would be the length of the contract. Am I wrong in saying that Mahomes got a 10-year, $600 million deal?
Yeah, but then they restructured it, and that's what the Bears could do.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say here. Again, when you talk about cap hits, Eagles tried it. Jalen Hurts has a $99 million cap hit in 2029. And how is that going to work out for them? But regardless, I wouldn't just say, okay, here's your 4, 5, 6-year contract. Screw that, man. I'm all for, if he wins a Super Bowl, especially 700 over 10 years, figure it out from there. Very much okay with that.
Okay, so we got to hit a couple of these. So here's a good one. How much cap space can we get? So cutting Tremaine, restructuring a couple contracts, we can generate about 60 million in space. But think of it this way. We're already 12 million over with the draft picks, okay? So take that out. You got 48 million left. You're essentially re-signing a couple of key contracts. You got to fill the rest of the roster out with that. So if you re-sign Kevin Byard, if you re-sign DeMarco Jackson for 5 million a year, if you re-sign, a couple of key players, that's gone. So this whole talk of going out and getting Trey Hendrickson, trading for Max Crosby, that's why I don't put any into this. That's why I'm not buying into that, because you will not be able to get Kevin Byard back. You won't be able to get, I'm missing some guys that I'm trying to think of. I mean, you're not going to be able to get anybody except Trey Hendrickson if you go out and sign Trey Hendrickson. You have to restructure those just to get that 60 million anyways, just to re-sign what we need. Let's pull this back up, Carl.
Yeah, I mean, knowledge untamed, bringing up the transition tag. Again, Jaquan Brisker may simply he may outprice himself with his performance in the playoff game. I mean,
I don't think even transition tag him because he's too expensive. I think you just let him walk. I think, and you know what? There's one thing there too. As you're watching that from the locker room, Kevin Byard, everything he said related to next year, like he was talking as if he's already back on the team. Jaquan Brisker was very.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If a lot of I don't know from Jaquan Brisker. Yes,
very two different, and I think they kind of have a feel for that already, anyways.
Yeah, Taj in chat. So we have to have a good draft. I'm assuming that's finished with a question mark. You're damn right that we have to, man. I mean, again, we saw how many starters we had from this draft class. The way that you're doing this, you have to fill in key positions, but you simply can't fill all of them. So I do think that you have to hit on your draft picks. Your first, second, third round picks have to be expected to be immediate starters, not impact starters, not Pro Bowlers, just starters.
Let's say we restructure those contracts. We make 60 million. We've got 48 million left to spend. You're going to run into the season with 5 to 10 million in buffer cap. He does that anyways. So you're looking at 43 million to spend. Let's say Jaquan Brisker, or let's say Kevin Byard gets 10 million a year. You're down to $30 million to spend. Let's say DeMarco Jackson gets re-signed for $5 million a year. You're down to $25 million to spend. Let's say Joe Tryon gets re-signed, which I think would be dumb not to re-sign him. You're down to $20 million. You got to re-sign these two. That's minimal, but you're down to $23 million. And then after that, I mean, you've got the opportunity to sign somebody. So I guess you could flexibly, but you got to sign 7 other people at $7 million. So you're down to roughly $15 million. I guess you could backload. But here's the thing that I'm talking myself in and out of it with Trey Hendrickson. If you're signing Trey Hendrickson and you're going to backload his contract, you're running into this. This is what happens when you draft well. You're running into range where you're going to have to long-term extend Rome, Luther, Colston Loveland, Darnell Wright. You're going to be extending these other contracts. What happens when you draft well is eventually you have to pay some of these players. So going out and signing Trey Hendrickson doesn't make any sense to me, because then you're dipping into cap space when you're going to extend Caleb Williams, when you're going to extend, these guys that deserve and need to stay on this team and be extended. So it's a catch-22. It's a tough situation to be in, but I don't see us big game hunting this year. I just don't see it.
The only thing I can really add to this, Adam, and I think that we started to talk about it and tailed off, and Brian Gilmore just made a comment about it. It's like, if you want to have these big fishes, you may have to let go of a big fish. Yeah. And that's where the idea of trading away DJ Moore, as much as it sucks, it's something where you just analyze it from an objective.
Agreed. But here's the thing. People are only looking at it from one side, from the Bears side of, he's $28.5 million. You're not looking at it from other team side. No team wants to take on that contract other than the dead cap next year. If you want to trade him next year, teams will be biting to get DJ Moore. But this year, that dead cap, they don't want that big of a contract for that much money for a wide receiver 4 on the Bears. You're going to get a 4th rounder, a 3rd rounder at best for that contract. Now, if you're saying the Bears could get a early 2nd rounder for DJ Moore, sure, get it done, because you're building a Luther Burden type player in replacement of that, and you're saving cap space. But it's not just one-sided with these things. It's not just, the Bears want to trade him to get rid of that cap space. What team wants to take on that cap space with a wide receiver 4 for their team? And I realize other team like the Titans would be a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 1. I get that, but it's not a one-sided thing. It's not just from the Bears' advantage. We look at it that way because we're on the Bears, but
that's why the other team. That's why the other team would have to free up cap, right? So that's why I really like the idea of a DJ Moore for Max Crosby baseline. And there's a lot more to it than just that, right? If you're telling me you could do that in a straight-up vacuum 1-for-1, obviously you're doing that. But I don't think that Oakland is interested in that in a straight-up scenario. The other scenario to consider, as we've been talking about this, Adam, is you want a left tackle. Is there a left tackle who doesn't have a future on his current team that is making a lot of money, more money than he deserves, that you'd feel comfortable being your starting left tackle? I don't know a name offhand, but again, just trying to think of scenarios here. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see
to think about.
I don't see DJ Moore being tradable this year. I don't see the Bears trading him. I don't see other teams wanting to trade for him. So while I'll leave the caveat in there, if you can get a 2nd rounder, a high 2nd rounder, get her done. But you can't. And so it's just not realistic. And with the trades, I want to get to some of these comments, and I appreciate everyone being here. Like Carl and I love that you're here commenting. Mikey says, Adam, would you trade a pick or 2 to go up in the high teens in order to get a defensive end or tackle that we need? All right. Every year I'm opposed to trading up, and it's not because I'm opposed to trading up. It's because of where we are. We need our draft picks. I'm going to say I'm opposed to this situation because of this draft class. Okay. But I am not opposed in the 2nd round to trading up from 58 to 40 to getting Lee Hunter, trading up from 79 again into the 2nd round and trading. I would trade a 3rd rounder next year. I'd trade, not this year, but my mock draft I just did had that happen twice, where I traded up from, I took our first pick at 1 or at 25. And then in the 2nd round, I traded up to the 40s. And then I traded it up again from 79 into the 50s. Like, I did that because this is that type of year where that 2nd round pick range, I think, is a really sweet spot for all those defensive tackles, defensive ends, safeties. There's so many good second rounders this year. I don't want to see us trade up with the first, but I'm all in favor of trading up multiple times into that second round and taking multiple second rounders in this, even trading next year's third rounder, next year's fourth rounder, leveraging next year's draft picks, 2027's draft picks to do it. I'm all in favor of it and going all in on a couple of these guys from the second round. If we can come away with the first rounder and a couple second rounders this year, defensive tackle, offensive, a left tackle, a safety, a linebacker, like I'm all in favor of that this year.
I'm pretty shocked to hear you say that, if I'm being honest. But honestly, I agree from the sense that I feel very firmly that to remedy the cap situation and your maybe lack of wiggle room when compared to last year, you're going to need draft picks to play meaningful football snaps for you in 2026. And if that means you have to move up to acquire a player that can do that for you, so be it.
So I see the comment there. Adam, if Peter Woods is there at 16, you wouldn't pay a future third. It's going to cost way more than a future third to move up in the first round. You're talking,
and I know this is apples to oranges with the quarterback involved, but look at what the Giants had to pay the Bears. Or sorry, it was the flip. The Bears moved from 20 to 11, right, to get Fields. That cost a first round pick.
Moving from 25 to 16 is likely going to cost you this year's second rounder, which is 57th overall. And I just talked about second rounders, and they're not going to want just future. So you're going to give 25. You're going to give this second rounder and probably a future third or fourth to add as a sweetener to it. So no.
So again, from a very ignorant point of view, I'm only making that trade if the player I'm acquiring is named Ruben Bain. Otherwise, you can pound sand.
I like this comment a lot by Obese Bison 2178, and I'm sorry if your guys' name don't look the same on you that they do to me. But losing DeMarco Jackson would be like losing Zach Bond right before the breakout. I feel the same way. I feel like DeMarco Jackson is in the sweet spot where you lock him in for a couple years of prove it, because he's showing things when he took over that he's the next guy, in my opinion.
For me, it's the fact that like we had football games where our two starting linebackers, and for all intents and purposes, that's the only positions we had at linebacker. We only had two starters. Both of those players go out, and we already have a weak personnel in front of them via the defensive line that is bad against the run. Why didn't we just get absolutely dominated? It's because a guy like DeMarco Jackson not only picked up the slack, it's arguable that he improved it. So I'm in full agreement there, too. I'm not comparing DeMarco Jackson to Zach Bond just yet. I'm not saying DeMarco Jackson is an all-pro, but DeMarco Jackson is a player I need on my football team in 2026.
He's shown enough potential that there's no way I let him walk out the door. He's probably worth, right now with his production,
and no one
$5 to $7 million a year.
If you took a scrub of the entire chat log, put it into ChatGPT and said, find the term TJ Edwards, it's not here. No one's talking about TJ Edwards having a significant injury as well. That player might not even be ready to go for the start of the year. I pray to God that he is, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah,
so if you're talking about saving money by cutting Tremaine Edmonds, you got to do something.
Well, you could trade Tremaine Edmonds or TJ Edwards better, but cut Tremaine Edmonds is pretty much a given.
Edmonds, yes.
I like this one. Jalen Johnson is the guy I would look at trading. Can we get anything near Sauce Gardner and 2 first? No. Here's my thought.
I responded to Knowledge Untamed in chat. I think that overpay for Sauce Gardner was the overpay of my lifetime. I don't know if Sauce Gardner will ever go for something like that. A player of that caliber would ever go for 2 firsts.
So I casually mentioned this in a different video, but I'm going to do more on it later. But Jalen Johnson, I think, absolutely needs to be traded. You can't trade him right now. He's coming back from the injury. He wasn't 100%. Next year's trade deadline, if the Bears are serious about clearing some space and getting a little bit of return for the draft, Jalen Johnson, you got Zay Frazier, Terrell Smith, Tyreek Stevenson. Hopefully we draft another guy. There's a couple late round guys I really like. I'd be shocked if we don't address a little bit of cornerback this year as well. But if some of these guys can produce and do the same thing Nahshon Wright did this year, Jalen Johnson will be a prime trade candidate at the deadline, and only if he has a really good first half of that year.
Only if the Bears are in 4th place in the NFC North.
No. You
don't do that. No, Jalen Johnson.
Absolutely.
Jalen Johnson, if he heals and at his peak, he is a top 3 cornerback in the NFL, only obviously behind Pat Surtain and Derek Stingley, in my opinion.
That's
so
fine.
If you need a player to do the job in the
he's
playoffs,
already talked about multiple times about wanting to already restructure his contract. You've got some big decisions coming up. You've got Caleb Williams, you got Darnell Wright, you got Colston Loveland, you got all these players are going to have to get paid. Jalen Johnson is not on the future
Loveland,
of
you
this
have a
team.
5th-year option
Sure.
too. I mean, that's really far away.
Karl, you're developing this young team. Jalen Johnson is not a part of it. I'm telling you that right now. If you can garner value now,
might be the first thing we disagree with here, man.
That's fine. We can
Can
disagree.
you cut John?
I have the mute the mic button, and it's fantastic that I have that. Jalen Johnson is not untouchable on this team. He's not untouchable. He does better. We get more draft pick. Imagine someone coming to us and offering a Sauce Gardner type of contract for Jalen Johnson because he does well the first half of the year. You let him walk in a heartbeat, and you take that trade 100%.
Two first-round picks, absolutely. Anything less than that,
one first-round pick,
maybe.
You let Jalen Johnson go for one first-round pick. Absolutely. You let him. It's coming to the end of his contract. He already talks all the time about needing to get paid more. I don't have any.
This is where the emotions are seeping into Adam's brain here. There's a little bit of emotion talk. Let's just think of it logically, right? The player was not healthy. Your version and your lens, your palate has not been cleansed of injured Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, no jokes about it, man. The only 2 cornerbacks in the NFL who are clear-cut, obviously better than Jalen Johnson are Pat Surtain, who's AKA Defensive Player of the Year, and Derek Stingley. Outside of that, you got a player who, if he's schemed correctly, and again, he hasn't had a full chance to grow into the scheme, in my opinion, either. Yeah, CBs go downhill fast.
You've got your whole thing. I'm going to push the mute button because you're having a moment here where you're just loving to do this. I'm going to say 2 words in my response. I'm not going to get into a big dictated long narrative. Jair Alexander. That's all I'm.
Bill Zimmerman. Oh, never mind.
Jair Alexander. That's all I'm going to say. Jair Alexander. Many thought Jair Alexander was top 5 in the league too, and then that goes downhill fast, brother. If he can perform the first half of this next year and look really good with all the contract dispute and how he doesn't appear to be a team player and he's always got that little chip on his shoulder, that mentality, I let Jalen Johnson go for a first-round pick 100%. You can replace.
Not if you're winning football games. If you're first place in the NFC North, you don't signal to your football team in your locker room like, hey, we're trading away our best players. Fuck that.
Wow. Karl's got a little chip on his shoulder now, too. I can see that point. I can see
everyone has their price. I hear that. And yes, if someone as stupid as a team like the Indiana Colts, how stupid they were to give up 2 first-round picks for damn near a man named Ahmed, sure, get your 2 first-round picks. I don't care. But Jalen Johnson is not a player you just piss away for money purposes, right? He's a
sure he is.
Upper echelon compared to Tremaine Edmonds.
Any player is it's a business at the end of the day.
I just said that. Every player has their price. And for Jalen Johnson, maybe it's 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. You're telling me, imagine.
I would do it for 2
imagine the NFC North is. Imagine the NFC North is just as highly contested as it was in 2025.
It will be.
I don't know when the trade deadline is. Say the Bears are 6-4, and you got a team in the division that's 7-3, and the rest of the other 2 teams are 5-5. Yep, I'm going to trade Jalen Johnson. That'd be fucking asinine.
Karl, family show. Clean it up. You're getting your second warning. Karl's getting sassy. This is going to be my favorite thing. I want to save this.
Yeah, Knowledge Untamed says, I trust Al Harris. I got a rude awakening. The defensive backs coach for the Eagles just got a defensive coordinator job, and Al Harris, a guy who is not admittedly a scheme guy, apparently, Al Harris may have a new job here really, really soon, and I hope he does for himself personally, because the guy's fantastic.
I think they're using Al Harris for the Rooney Rule this year. I think he'll be a candidate next year. I don't think they've got to interview a certain amount of minorities, so I think he's being used this year. It happens every year. But it shows the ones that's on the future radar. I think Al Harris will be here one more year, and I think he'll be gone after this next year.
Fine by me. As much of this coaching staff we can retain, I want it to. And we've already taken a huge blow. Make no jokes about it. Eric Bieniemy, my God, the things that he did with DeAndre Swift, turning him into a power back at times. Boy, oh boy, that's a hell of a head coach. A coach.
Carl getting out in timeouts kills me. We're having a good time here, Carl.
We
All right,
sure
buddy.
are.
Get your questions in if we missed some of your questions. Nail the questions real quick. I'm going to pull this up because I did want to go over this. We didn't get all the way through.
What about these top 10 moves? I didn't get a chance to watch that video. Where's these top 10 moves?
Then go watch the video and we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Again, I think we touched on a lot of them.
Yeah, the first two were signing Jordan McFadden and Theo Benedict as ERFAs because they're no-brainers. $1 million. It's as cheap as it gets for good quality backups.
Yeah, $1 million, chump change, Adam, chump change.
I wish. For NFL teams they are. For me and you.
Let's go gambling.
For the next one was cutting Tremaine Edmonds, restructuring or trading DJ Moore if you can get a second rounder or trade. If not, restructure. So you're going to have to restructure. Signing DeMarco Jackson, signing Joe Tryon.
What about DeAndre Swift? We're not doing anything there. We're retaining Swift.
Okay. Your whole running back room is like 10 million total, and DeAndre Swift more than outplayed his contract.
And the goal here is to obviously have Swift and Manungai be the 1A, 1B. Roschon Johnson is let go. Are we replacing?
I'm not yet because he'll be here for 90-man camp. I can almost guarantee that. Roschon Johnson will be here for 90-man camp, but I don't think he'll make the 53-man roster this year, even if it's a UDFA. Well, here's a thought. DeAndre Swift has trade value now. He actually has trade value. If you end up having Jeremiah Love fall to you at 25, the same thing could happen that happened with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. No.
It really could.
Hey. Pause. Everyone pause. I will go out on a limb and say it right now. This is one of my first guarantees of this entire draft, okay? Jeremiah Love's not making it past Kansas City.
I agree with you. I think he's getting drafted at 9. I think that's the spot where he falls.
He will not pass. Go past Kansas City.
But I'm just telling you, if that happened, how funny would that be? They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. They traded DeAndre Swift. He has trade value now. So if Jeremiah Love fell, and that's the only running back you take in the first round this year, and I would never take a running back in the top 17. I've already said that. Unless you're a playoff team that needs to add a running back to compete, you don't take a running back in the first round. It's proven last year. Ashton Genty was not the answer. They needed line help. They needed other things. Proven. I was right. Either way, if he fell to the Bears at 25, we're a playoff team who made it to the divisional round, and you took Jeremiah Love and you traded DeAndre Swift, how sad for DeAndre Swift, but how ironic. I mean, that would be wild. Ben Johnson, the head coach, coordinator, both times, and they let DeAndre Swift go both times that they drafted a running back. That would be almost comical. No shot it happens. I know. There's no shot that's happening. You can't replace Swift with a running back. Look at how did what's his name? How did Caleb Johnson do for the Steelers as a late second, early third round pick go?
We got receipts on that one too. I was told that Caleb Johnson was a good player, huh?
You can't guarantee who's going to make it in the NFL as a running back. Nobody saw Kyle Monangai being as good as he is. Nobody saw Ashton Genty being as mediocre as he is. Nobody saw Caleb Johnson. Nobody saw Caleb Johnson being that. Some of us saw Omarion Hampton being some of the top in the league.
Yeah,
I think we were both high on Omarion Hampton.
You were not high on RJ Harvey.
I was pretty
high on RJ Harvey.
I wasn't high on him.
Something about these two things right here. I can see a running back when I see one. I watch Thomas Jones. I can evaluate running back.
I like this Wake Forest running back as well. I think you're onto something there. He's kind of a little sleeper in this class. I believe that too. I really like the Washington running back as well. He's a second rounder right now, but I don't see.
You're the first person to tell me about that player. Yeah,
I showed you him before.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swift has trade value, but I don't see us getting rid of him. We're not taking running back in round 1. With now left tackle need, defensive tackle primarily need, safety other need, defensive end late down the needs. I mean, there's enough needs. I don't see us taking a running back until that 5th rounder we got from the Rams, or the 4th rounder we got from the Rams. Maybe a running back there in the 4th round. Maybe one of the 3 7th rounders. Maybe we'll hit lightning in a bottle twice with our 7th round picks, running backs. That would be kind of fun.
It sure would.
All right, I got to scroll up here and see if I missed any other here. And
Relentless Mikey had one. I can read it off for you if
Go
you
ahead.
can't find it.
Yeah, please do.
I think I lost it. I think is it right here? Relentless Mikey asking at 6:54. When do the Bears have to sign these guys before the other teams start calling?
Well, the official here. This is part of the schedule. Let's bring this back up. So here's the rest of what we're going to go through. So the Senior Bowl is the 31st. I mean, we're getting right into draft stuff really soon here. It was actually a concern on my head how I was going to cover both East-West Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, and the Bears. Either way, we're pumping this out. It's going to be fun. Super Bowl on February 8th. And then the 17th, players can be tagged, franchise or transition tag. So that's coming up here, I guess, about a month from now. And then the Combine is February 26th through March 1st. I have funny little days there of 2/24 through 3/3 because there's pre-stuff beforehand and then post stuff after. But the actual days of the Combine are February 26th through March 1st. So those are the days you're going to want to tune into your TV and see them actually.
And guys like who's Jeremiah from the NFL Network?
Oh, Daniel
Jeremiah, and Brett Coleman at the very least. Those guys on Twitter will have the actual schedule for the Combine as to what players are trying out at what time. It's a little bit more granular if you guys are really fiending for that, but I'm sure it'll make its way into this channel sooner rather than later.
I remember last year I misscheduled it, and I was down at spring training because I go to spring training every year for the Cubs, and I was down in spring training, and I was trying to cover the Combine stuff and my thoughts on it. Like I'd go to the game
while you were in wherever you were.
Yes, Phoenix. Yes. Yeah, I'd come back to the hotel and I would and I'd make a video, and then I'd go out with friends at night to dinner, and then I would come back and make another thing. I poorly managed that one, but the tag deadline,
just like how the GOAT 3274 in chat poorly mismanaged his comment. Anyway, we don't have to give any oxygen to the garbage fire there. Go ahead, Adam. Continue, please.
I'm putting him in timeout. You're in
good. Oh, let's go.
Oh, knowledge. You're gonna kill me. Trading Rome for a first and taking a different big wide receiver who attacks the mid rounds, I don't think is off the table. I do.
Oh, wow,
I absolutely
that is a terrible comment. Knowledge Untamed. What are we doing, buddy?
All right, so we're gonna table this. We're gonna talk about the roster next week. Carl and I are gonna talk about the roster next week, guys. Rome set records as a rookie. He set records. You don't get rid of a wide receiver that set records now. He was on pace at the beginning of this year for 1,600 yards. He was our wide receiver one. Then he got hurt. And we're going to penalize and we're going to punish this guy because he played through injury.
Here's the thing. Man. And I know this. The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't hired their next head coach, and I know they're going to have a very hard decision between potentially Antoine Randall L. and myself because we both said the same thing.
Who was there? No, there was someone that they said who was taking that Pittsburgh job.
Hold on. We don't have to get off topic on that. Again, the moral of the story here, Adam, is why is our coaching staff telling Rome Odunze something that I told you months ago that you tried to refute? The wide receiver, not just Rome Odunze included, but many of these wide receivers, they need to catch the damn football.
Yeah, I agree.
Rome Odunze is no stranger to that, right? It's not that his contested catch, that's not a drop, right? Because it was contested. Guy made a good play. Rome Odunze's calling card, whether you like it or not, is catching the football when it matters and in difficult situations. That comes with the territory of being a wide receiver number one. Rome Odunze has to improve. Am I out on Rome Odunze? By no stretch of the fucking imagination. But when we talk about players who need to have volume, these rookies who are no longer rookies for us, Loveland, Burden, those guys weren't dropping the ball at as high of a rate, and I really like those players. So Rome Odunze is going to have to earn his, so to speak, next year. And I think the player can do it.
Completely agree that he has to come back and earn it. He was injured, but you don't get many 6'4" X receivers like him that come around. And he was setting records his rookie year, and he was off to a blistering pace this year before his injury. Don't throw the guys under the bus. Let him come back. Let him heal. Let him recover. We're in the offseason now. Give him his offseason. Let him come back. I'm all in on. I'm buying Rome stock. You're telling me Rome stock is down, and it's you can buy him I'm buying as much Rome stock as I can buy. I'm also all in on Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. I'm not saying I'm Rome over somebody else. I love our room right now, our wide receiver, our receiving room, including Colston Loveland. I love it. So back to the question Mikey had. We get on tangents a little bit here. You got the tag deadline March 3rd, but then free agent negotiation period begins March 9th. You should see a lot of these signings start early February with the Bears. In fact, if you guys didn't notice on their website, the future reserve contract, that's the first thing to happen. So guys on our practice squad that we want to bring back, because you got to fill out 90 guys on the roster. They bring all them back on a future reserve contract, which is basically nothing. So you're basically saying, hey, we want you back at camp. You're our priority. We want you here on the 90-man camp. You've already been on our practice squad. At worst, you're probably going to make our practice squad again. So they re-sign basically everybody again. So that's officially done. So we have, a bunch of guys already signed to future reserve contracts, but actual contracts as far as like DeMarco Jackson and, Kevin Byard, those will probably be happening if they get an extension done. The club, the Bears, have the right to negotiate that and get that done before free agency. You'll probably see that early February. You're taking a little break right now. You're doing some administrative stuff. Early February into the beginning of March. If it's not done by the beginning of March, you start to get worried that this guy's going to hit free agency, because they probably are going to hit free agency. And that happens on March 11th. The tampering period 2 days before that on March 9th. So what did I miss that you're laughing at in the comments here, buddy?
Some guys asking who Michael is. That's me, by the way, New England Bears fan. My name is, you can call me Mike.
What the heck? Why did you change your name?
You can call me Mike.
Michael, it's wet? What's wet?
No, Mike.
I don't know where you're going with this.
Just say it. Hold on. I'll change it for you. Hold on. Unbelievable.
All
you
right,
got really bad one time, and hopefully this is another.
RFA deadline is the 18th, and teams with the returning head coaches are on the 20th. If you have a new head coach, it's somewhere around 2 weeks before that, so around the 6th, and then the NFL draft is April 23rd through the 25th.
I fixed my name for you.
I'm not going to get had. I'm not doing this with you today, Carl. I'm not. Where do I change his? Kick from studio, edit name. There. This guy is a nut. What are we doing with this guy on here? All right. What other questions did I meet, Carl? Are you muted? Unmute.
I muted him. I had to mute myself to compose myself. My God. I mean, lot of we're turning the page on Rome. Not to say we're over him as a player, but just the story, right? Let's move on. Rome's going to be a big part of this offense in the next year. I wish I had the ability to start comments. I simply do not. Knowledge on team bringing up Jeffrey Simmons. Yeah, I don't know.
So
I mean, to me, it's very obvious that you would trade a DJ Moore well and truly well before anything you do with Rome. I really hated the comment regarding trading Rome for another first-round wide receiver. That's asinine. Would never do that. I don't know if there's much more to be said about the pass catchers here on this football team at this point.
Jeffrey Simmons isn't for sale. The Titans, and they got a new coach, and they've already said they're building around him. They feel like their future is already headed here. And he's had such a phenomenal year. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is fun for the idea and comps. It's the same thing as Max Crosby. The Raiders don't want to trade Max Crosby. The Titans don't want to say trade. It's just we want it, but they don't want it, and that's different. So.
The reason I will continuously allow Max Crosby's name to come out of my mouth, aside from watching that player have the most dominant half of football that I've ever seen personally, as a Bears fan anyway, Max Crosby was asked to not play. And he was told he was injured, even though the player felt he could play in a situation where the Raiders were trying to lose.
Yeah, but then
Giants.
But then he immediately had surgery, and now he's come out with his last press conference and said he's excited for the future, and he's going to get in tip-top shape. I'm going to mute you for a second. You keep doing it, Carl. He's in tip-top shape, and he wants to get back for camp, and so he's very excited to be a Raider. So you're back. Go ahead.
But if Max Crosby was on the Chicago Bears and was in that same situation, he's playing the football game. He's helping his team get to the playoffs, and then he's helping the team in the playoffs. So he was asked to not play. Yes, he got the surgery, all these things.
Because he was hurt.
He could play.
He wanted to play, but for the best of the team, they've got him for the future. They wanted him to go have surgery.
The best of the team, the best for fucking Mendoza.
It's fine. They weren't making the playoffs. The team says, okay, go get your surgery. We don't want you hurting yourself more. I don't see that being a bad thing. The team
valued losing more than winning. Next,
the Raiders,
Crosby,
they were
are
already
Chicago
out of the
Bear.
playoffs. They were already out of the playoffs, Carl. You're making it an agenda when it's not even an agenda.
You play to win the game.
All right. Did I miss anything here? We've gone through the schedule. We've gone way overboard with where we said we were going, but I feel like it was good talk, good discussions today. A lot of good stuff on the show today. So thanks for everybody participating and being a part of it. Carl, what did I miss? So keep me in check. Tell me what I've done, what I haven't done, where we went wrong.
I'm the one who's gone wrong. I don't know if there's any questions or obvious things that we've missed. Boy, I mean, we're gonna get hot and heavy in the draft scenario, the draft season. I don't know if I was watching this and I wasn't on the screen, which I don't even know why I'm on the screen at times. I would ask you, what is one player who no one is talking about in the NFL draft, even if it means that the Bears don't have a chance at them or they would be a fit for the Bears? One player that no one's talking about that you feel like they should be talking about.
Fit for the Bears would be Lee Hunter. Nobody's talking about Lee Hunter for some reason, the defensive tackle, and I think he's the perfect fit for the Bears, and he would be absolutely phenomenal defensive tackle for us. The other one I've already brought up several times is the left tackle for Indiana. Man, I'm spacing his name right now, but I brought him up so many freaking times. I'm kind of burnt on this episode, but what is his name? What's that left tackle's name? Carter Smith, yes. So Carter Smith, I feel like, is a phenomenal one. As far as defensive ends, I already brought up Caden Curry with you, but I think Joshua Josephs is the one that's he's kind of like last year's junior. What was the junior from Tennessee? James Pierce Jr. It's kind of the same type of situation, but Joshua Josephs is being kind of pushed down the line because of, Reuben Bain, David Bailey, TJ Parker. I think R. Mason Smith is a little bit overvalued by people from Oklahoma. I feel like he should be a little farther down the list. But Akeem Mesidor is climbing boards. He's one that I predicted would climb boards. Zion Young is a good fit for the Bears in the second round. I feel like he'd be a really good fit. Caden Curry, Zion Young, good fits for the Bears with the second, third round pick for sure.
What if we pivot away from the defensive side of the football? And Squeegee has a comment about, would you draft a kick returner or special teams ace this year? Let me tell you a football player that I adore in this draft class, who I wasn't sure if he would actually be in this draft class, Zachariah Branch. I know that many have him as a good wide receiver. I see a player who has the potential to be close to Devin Hester. No one will ever be Devin Hester. But the things that I've seen Zachariah Branch do, is particularly at USC in the return game, that's a player who I would love on the Chicago Bears. The problem that I'm aware of is that player is going to be drafted high because of his receiving ability, and we cannot be allocating resources to that again.
I like Barian Brown. I put him in my mock draft just barely to show that. 4.28 speed, and he's got 7 kick returns in college for touchdowns. Barian Brown at LSU. He was at Kentucky the first 3 years, then he just transferred to LSU. But he's a phenomenal returner. He's got really good moves. Like, he's got speed, but he can also cut and make guys miss. So I like Barian Brown. He's small.
What day is that player projected to go? Day 2?
He doesn't have good hands in receiving, so he's purely a returner. So he's a day 3. He's a 7th rounder, one of those 3 7th rounders.
That's the prime spot to be looking at things like that. Again, we're talking about a draft class that needs to produce starters in some capacity, right? You're not going to get all pros on every draft pick. You're not even going to get Pro Bowlers, but you need starters. And kick returner, punt returner is a starter. So if you have a 7th round pick that can be allocated towards that, by all means.
I'm going to try to hurry and pull up his profile for you so you can see by player.
And for the record, I was very down on Devin Duvernay, but I will say that's another player who I will remember very, very fondly for his time on the 2025 Chicago Bears. Not sure you bring that player back, even if he's cheap, whatever, but Big citrus. I got to see the medicals, but that's the 0 type we need, yeah? Knowledge Untamed. Who's Big Citrus?
That's got to be orange that they're talking about.
Jude Bowery?
No, it's
LTBC Jude Bowery? My
you got to be talking about Dominic
thin...
Orange from Iowa State.
Oh, whoa. Knowledge Untamed saying my LT1 in a very thin class. I don't know about that.
Interesting. Okay, let me get to this. Carl, you're keeping me longer than I intended to. All right.
I mean, when are you drafting Jude Bowery? You're talking about if he doesn't win your left job. You're talking about a tackle that could also play center. Like, what are we doing?
Okay, here we go. So
Iowa State.
Barian Brown, 5'11", 185. He's a slot receiver. Let's look at the receiving to see if he's receiving. Nothing blows your socks off here. 495 yards, a touchdown. He's fine. He had a couple drops last year. I mean, so his drops aren't great. If we scroll
What's the 40 time?
4.28 40 time.
What's the bench press? I'm just bullshit.
But look at this every year. Drop 10%, 12%, 13%. That puts him in this late round range where nobody's taking him.
Sounds like Roma Dunze. Again, one last jab here.
But then you go here and you go kick returns. And this feller has been pretty freaking good. His kick returns got 4 touchdowns here. Why did I say he had 7? I know he had more than 4. They're lying on PFF. What a bunch of liars on PFF. They're always lying to us.
Wow, Adam Mason finally woke up. Good morning, buddy. Good morning.
Anyways, his averages 28, 20, 32, 25, 24. If you watch him, his returns are he's a good returner. I like him. I like
I would say that the Bears are definitely missing that. And again, think very highly of Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay is not giving you the same juice that Rashid Shaheed is for the Seahawks.
Oh, one of my 10 though was to re-sign Devin Duvernay.
Sure, that's a middle of the road safe bet in a player who you will not be upset about being your punt and kick returner. No questions. Not sad about it at all.
This is simple. Future contracts, you're giving them. There's no guarantee on them, so you're giving them a base contract, but no guarantee on it. So they don't make any money unless they make the team. So when you go into 90-man camp, the salary cap only counts against the top 51, so that you have flexibility to have 90 players, basically to build your roster with. So that's where they make a little flexibility before the season. The league has done this to be able to make teams so they can find guys and develop them and have an opportunity for guys to be able to play. So when you have a future contract, you're basically giving them a contract to come, and they'll make money while they're there. It's very minimal. I mean, we're talking to us would be like year's salary type of stuff, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. Hey, great, happy. They go there, they get paid very minimal, but it's a full contract at a league minimum, but it's not guaranteed. There's no guarantee on it. So these guys who have futures contracts, no guarantee. Once they trim down the roster, they can get signed by any other team. They can get signed to our practice squad, or they can get, a full base level contract guaranteed for the year. If they're Ja'Day Walker, then they make $1 million for the year.
I was about to say, I know everyone wants to hear my opinion on the actual players, not the contracts, but how good are these players, all these things, right? JP Richardson, a player who we liked in this year's, training camp. I feel like if you were to take this approach of, fill and replace, everyone moves up. Many would say, God forbid, if DJ Moore finds himself on another team in 2026, right? I think you have the makings of filling the stack, right? Luther Burden goes from 3 to 2. Ja'Day Walker goes from inactive to a player who probably replaces.
Well, Ja'Day Walker, as it stands right now, is number 4. He is our number 4 wide receiver.
I don't know if I want Ja'Day Walker as 3. I would say that Devin Duvernay, again, because of his return abilities, he was the wide receiver who was active on game days, and he would find himself in the 4 and 5 wide receiver formations, right? I want Ja'Day Walker to take those snaps. I don't want Ja'Day Walker to be inactive at all. I want him to be untouchable in that sense. And I want JP Richardson to be on the roster and be that Ja'Day Walker fit, right? A guy who can play special teams, a guy who potentially is active when the situation calls due to injury or whatever. So that's the type of stuff that we're looking for, right? Ryan Poles always seems to find a UDFA who makes an impact, right? Tyson Bagent, Jack Sanborn. I don't know if I'm missing one before Ja'Day Walker. Johnny Walker, another big impact, in my opinion. Elijah Hicks. There you go. No, Elijah Hicks was a draft pick.
Oh, he was
Elijah
a 7th rounder. You're right. You're right. He was a 7th rounder. You're correct.
So again, the UDFA portion of this, these futures, all these things, it all goes into building a team, right? And you're not looking to field a roster of all UDFAs, but you need that to be iron sharpens iron, bring in that competition. We want to get this roster to a point where, God, our 6th or 7th round pick, they're fine, but they're just not good enough for the roster. We're not there yet, in my opinion. So these UDFAs, they are going to have a story or a role to play in this story of 2026.
So good question here by Steve Rogers. When you re-sign, extend a player, does the signing bonus go towards the cap? Well, the signing bonus can be moved to several. It depends on how long the roster, the contract is. So if it's a 3-year contract and you give him a $15 million signing bonus, you can give him $5 million each year and have it, moved through the different years for how it affects the salary cap. That's where they start to make this flexible. So when you hear about them, backloading one, they can put a lot of that signing bonus to the back, even though they've already given it to the player. That's the flexibility of it. If we're talking about future reserve contracts, there's no bonus with the future reserve contract. If there is, it's very minimal. They give them if a UDFA will sometimes get a bonus to come with the team, maybe $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, sometimes $100,000 for some of the top UDFAs. So that is towards the cap. So if they do extend a little bonus to these guys for undrafted free agents and they want them to come to the Bears, an undrafted free agent, but it's not like millions of dollars. Your big contracts are the ones that count against the 53-man roster, your top 51 contracts going into camp. And you're going to have, 30 contracts that are above the $2 million range, and you're going to have the rest of them being the league minimum. I mean, even Theo Benedict and Jordan McFadden are going to be league minimum contracts because the league cost controls their years for the first 3 years of service time. So that was another question from another video I never answered. Exclusive right free agent, which is what Jordan McFadden and Theo Benedict are, is these guys who are UDFAs or guys who were cut previously and their contract is null and void, but they haven't acquired 3 years of service time in the league. And to acquire, we're going down rabbit hole tangents. To acquire a service time year, you've got to play at least, I think it's 4. You've got to be on the roster for 4 or 6 games during the year to acquire a service year. I'll have to look that one back up, but if they're on the roster, on the active roster for a game for 4 to 6 games during the year, they acquire a service year. So Theo Benedict's first service year was this last year because the year prior he was on the practice squad the entire year. So he's got 1 year of service year, but he's out of contract. So the club controls him through an exclusive right. He's cost controlled for the club until he acquires 3 years of service time. And that's why we have an exclusive right on him. Same with Jordan McFadden. Theo's not a free agent. He's an exclusive right. So the Bears have the rights to him. So they will not. The Bears will exercise that exclusive right. And they'll do the same thing on Jordan McFadden. They showed that they like Jordan McFadden by starting him in the playoffs. So.
And again, whatever you think about Ryan Poles, and again, I'm calling Ben Johnson the general manager by trait, not by name. But whatever you think of Ryan Poles, he was able to keep Jordan McFadden on your practice squad until November 27th. And you elevated him, you signed him to your roster, and you had a playoff starter on your practice squad. So again, all these little tiny things, minute as they may be, they add up.
Do you have that right? Because I think we stole Jordan McFadden last year. He was from the Chargers. Did we sign him?
McFadden was in our mix, and I
no, but did we steal him from? Did we steal him from a practice squad last year, or did we just sign him to a future reserve after the year was over?
No, he was signed to the practice squad on the announcement day on 8/27. He was on our practice squad for 3 months.
But the year before, we got him at the end of the year. Did we steal him from a practice squad, or did we sign him to a future reserve contract? We got him the year before. We didn't get him just in August. We got him
on February 10th, 2025. We assigned Jordan McFadden via waivers. That's the official log on the transaction.
Oh, so we did get him through waivers.
Yes, we claimed him.
We stole him. I like it. Because I remember doing a video on him because the funny thing I remember on him was that they lined him up at fullback previously at the Chargers in practice, and they were actually using him as a fullback in practice and in the games. So,
and then capstone for all that conversation, Khyiris Tonga. I don't know if he'll be active for the Patriots. Our former defensive tackle plays that exact role that Adam just explained for New England. He is a defensive tackle fullback hybrid. What a show, Adam. What a show.
How about the Niners, though, with their backup tight end being the former Bear, who's now their starter since the Bears fan Kittle, who's a hardcore Bears fan, went down with injury. Now Jake Tonges, who was, I remember him being on our roster, practice squad, especially a 90-man camp. I remember him. Now he's become something for the Niners. Pretty fun to watch that happen. I wish it would happen with us, but sometimes these tight ends, these linebackers, some of these positions take some time.
Just like Raheem Mostert, right? Like it just doesn't work out. It's not always meant to be.
Well, it takes time for some of these positions to develop. It's just the way it is, and you wish it could happen with the Bears, but some of them do happen with the Bears. It's like Elijah Hicks, great example of. And DeMarco Jackson didn't work out with his previous team, and now he's getting a chance with the Bears, and he's working out with the Bears. So I hope he continues to ascend and do really well.
Breaking news from Dane Brugler.
What's going on?
My NFL draft hot take. The top 5 overall prospects in the 2026 NFL draft all played college ball in either Indiana or Ohio.
Interesting. All right, one more time. Here's the schedule coming up, because I think it was Steve Rogers. I don't remember who asked me to do the schedule, but I saw that on the comments of one of my other videos, and I was like, yeah, I completely forgot. So thank you to whoever it was. I think it was Steve Rogers, and if it wasn't, I'm sorry for giving credit to someone else that gave the idea. But one of you guys mentioned to redo this calendar, and I think it's valuable because it gives you guys an idea of what's coming up. So Karl left the screen, and I don't know, maybe he's just left for good because we were going to close this thing out.
Oh, no, my contractor is here. His name is Mike.
Acting like I'm yelling at you while you're on there.
Is that bear named Michael as well?
I guess. I'm gonna ask you what this means after we go off camera, because apparently I'm getting had right now.
Well, we'll just say my name.
I'm not doing it.
Say my name. It's a 2-hour show. We got to laugh at some point.
Oh, we're having a good time. Karl, give me your final thoughts. We'll get out of here. We'll let these people get back to their Thursday night.
Final thought. How many words is it?
Next week, we're going to, just so you guys know, next week, we're going to go over the roster. We're going to go over some of our top draft. We're actually going to start getting into the draft a little bit more with next week's show. So we were actually supposed to talk about the end of the season a little bit more, because this is the first show we've done since the Bears lost. But I think we've all kind of moved on from that.
We encompassed it, right? Like, and the Bears literally just tweeted this. It was just like a cute little picture of a big bear holding the hand of a little bear, and the little bear is pointing at a wall of pictures. It's like, son, let me tell you about the 2025 season. I'm so happy that who started watching the Bears in 2005 at the tail end, just before the Super Bowl year, I'm so happy that I finally got to watch the 2001 season from my point of view. We got our 2001 season, Adam. And I don't know if that means that we're not going to go back to the Super Bowl for another 5-6 years. I don't know.
We didn't go to the Super Bowl this year.
But what I'm saying is, if this is the equivalent to 2001, obviously they had the young guys with Urlacher, all those things in the 01 season, but it took all the way until 2006 to go to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So we had our magical season. Again,
I want more.
Ben Johnson is so fucking elite. He's so grounded. He says, right? Like, oh, how do you build the media is trying to get by him, or whatever you want to say, right? This season, it's over. Now you guys start from zero. He understands that. Just because we were good in 2025 does not mean we will be good in 2026. Nothing to say that they won't be, but again, it's going to be a lot harder. You went from last to first, fourth place schedule to first place schedule, all these things. It's going to be tough.
I like the mentality of that, because it keeps you driving. So I get that. I like it.
Yes.
All right, Karl, we're signing off. We're getting this done in 2 hours. We're out of here. Love you guys.
Bye-bye, Jervon Dexter. Bye-bye.
Mike Liswit? What is Mike Liswit? I don't understand. The Michael Liswit?